Hood Neat podcast. And we're back. Little Dutton Ranch freestyle going on. Anyways.
That song is way catchier than I thought you were going to make it.
Dude, that song is
a catchy song.
Yes, it is.
Bad.
That's us young bloods over here.
Yeah.
You know, the early 40s, the early 30s, you
And
know.
Rob's like,
Early
back
40s.
in my day, we only used pianos.
Just shut up about that.
We use guitar.
He used an organ.
Used an
back
organ.
then.
But anyways, guys, we're back. We got Rob, we got Dylan, we got Ben Lewis. Ben Benson is still having a tumultuous life, so he is not here.
He's got banker's hours.
Banker's hours. That's right.
That's
He's
right.
like, hey, I'd come, but I like to be in bed by 7:30.
Yeah, it's Columbus Day. I can't come.
And it's
in.
Columbus.
When he said 3:30, I was like, on what planet do you live on?
his.
Yeah.
He lives on his. That's where he lives.
I miss Benson.
I do too.
But I'll tell you what, though, this is an old my dad quote. And I think I've said a few of these before, but he told me one time.
Fart in the pan.
Yeah. Fart in a pan. That's a good one. That's a Bob Lewis right there. But another good one that applies here is wherever four men are gathered, you will find a fifth.
Ah. Or the remains of one.
Yeah.
I thought he said crabs in a barrel, not a bucket.
Anyway,
But all right, guys. Well, thanks for coming back to the bunker.
thanks for having us.
So, Lewis.
We did not buy the one in York, by the way. Did not buy that box.
No,
Yeah.
some YouTuber did.
Some YouTuber did.
Yeah.
Really?
Out of
Yeah.
Omaha, yeah.
Yeah, famous Nebraska YouTuber.
Yeah, I didn't even know there was one.
Andrew Flair. Like, he's a fisherman.
Oh, well, that's cool. That's cool.
He
He's
must
gonna go
have,
fishing.
Maybe he'll invite us out. Be awesome.
There was a fisherman, Milliken. Did you guys ever watch him from
Yeah,
Omaha?
I know
Sixth
Milliken.
Sense.
Yeah, he lives now. He moved down to
He moved down to
Houston.
Florida, isn't it? Or
Sixth Sense, like he sees
yeah.
dead people.
Sixth Sense is his lure company. Shout out to Andrew Milliken. Like, they're actually really sweet lures. I really enjoyed watching his videos back when he lived here in Omaha.
That's right.
All right, Lewis, what's been going on?
Boy, not a lot.
Not a lot.
just working. I tell you what. I've talked about this before, but like tomorrow, I'm hitting the barbershop early with my kid.
Wait, what?
Just hanging out. You know.
You didn't invite me?
I'm sorry, I didn't.
My beard needs it.
You need to keep that growing. Don't say you need a haircut right now. Just keep it growing.
I need to look like Aaron.
What, red?
Chins. Somebody said that to me today when I was at Menards. Someone like ran me down.
Viking red.
Because I forgot a thing at the cashier's thing. And the guy was like, I was looking for you. And the
Got
lady
caught
just said a tall
shoplifting.
redhead. And I was like, what part of this is redhead? And he's like, is it your product? And I'm like, well, it is. I bought it. Yeah. And he's like, well, there you go. You're the tall redhead. And I was like, I'm not. There's nothing about me that's red other than my neck.
Face.
His face right now is
Yeah,
pretty
your
red.
face.
He's red. That's red hair right there.
It's blonde as blonde gets.
Nah, man,
I'm Aryan Brotherhood blonde.
Oh my gosh.
don't say that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
We just
sorry.
got canceled.
Anyway,
Start over.
Yeah, again. So,
Sorry.
So, Lewis, you're going to the barbershop with Henry?
Yeah, just go pet the bulldog, get the beard trimmed up.
Henry getting his trimmed up too?
He's getting his beard trimmed up
He's getting
too.
It's three.
I got
2 hairs.
I've got some meetings coming up, where I'll see a bunch of my big bosses. And
on Zoom or in person.
I have caught crap before.
Are you saying they're overweight?
for having a big? No, they're big, like way up high, not big men.
Oh, okay.
But I've kind of caught crap before for having a beard, in this industry. And
Seriously?
yeah,
You work in your basement.
I know that, but I see clients all the time.
You carry around a Walther Q5.
A Walther.
I'm kidding.
I do not carry a Walther.
Hey.
There's nothing wrong
I'm
with them.
100%
Walther's a good
Austrian.
gun.
Okay.
Like, try the Walther. It's a good gun.
It's
I feel like a fight just about broke out.
well, when I
you
shared that
calling me
picture,
old?
when I
I
shared that
like
picture the
German
other day, he
guns.
about fought
Yeah,
me.
because
He
that
was
was
like,
a high point. Yeah.
It looks like a high point. It's one of
no,
the ugliest guns made.
no.
Have you shot a Walther? Walthers
Oh heck yeah!
They're fantastic
I've owned
guns.
them. I know they are.
They're ugly as sin, but they're fantastic.
There's nothing
guns.
ugly about that thing.
Oh, it's ugly.
I feel like Mel Gibson in Lethal Weapon should be carrying that thing around at all times.
No,
Wait,
he came from that. He came from the
was
80s when he was
80s
or
Beretta.
Actually, he was
That's-
a
he had
Beretta
to have
guy.
Did he just try to use Mel Gibson as a way
In
to
the
make
80s, it was either
like a good
Beretta
gun?
or a Desert Eagle. That's the two
Are you
guns
trying to
that
tell me
were
that Mel Gibson can't make a gun look good?
I'm saying Mel Gibson's not a good-looking man.
What planet are you on?
Well,
All of them?
Mad Max.
Those are fighting words, Aaron.
No, it's a good movie. He's a good actor.
Braveheart, Patriot. He's just a stone cold fox in all of it.
Wow.
The only one that he's not is Get Him to the Gringo.
That's a good movie, though.
It's a great movie. It's a great movie.
Yeah. All right, Dylan, what have you been up to?
You know, my wife made some homemade chili tonight. It was pretty
Yeah,
bomb.
we can tell.
Now we're in
Nice.
trouble.
Pretty bomb. It was pretty
About to be the
awesome.
bomb.
We're all gonna enjoy that.
You guys are going to enjoy that here in about 10
I thought it
minutes.
was warm in here.
I thought
You're
this
gonna
boat
hear a
had
lot of
air
I'm sorry.
filtration system.
Yeah, my cigars are now ruined.
No, they're ultra humid.
Turn on the humidor.
Oh, that's disgusting.
I guess if you like a bite in your cigars.
Yeah.
Other than that, I'm just trying to be above reproach with work.
Hey, that's
And
what we're talking about. Well, today's about in your marriage, so you can work on that for next week.
I got a lot of that to work on too.
Yeah, be good there first, and then worry about the work later.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm not critiquing. I'm not critiquing again that we started with work. My bad.
I was looking that we're not doing this in a order of importance, and is more of an order of.
What we're used to.
No, well, I was gonna say people in our audience, how they might like. I would like to assume that maybe there's more people in our audience who have jobs than who are married.
Oh, that's true.
Well, and I honestly, if
You know
most
your
of our
audience.
followers are from Nebraska, and I've heard this from
All those single 20-year-old men that we.
I've heard from folks that aren't from Nebraska who live here who may have been from a bigger city. They said, like, I was like, oh, do you think it's a little slow pace here? And they're like, no, you guys work
Get after it.
constantly. You guys are always working. Like it's that's your joy is to work. And he's like, where I come
I don't know why
from,
you use the word joy.
Yeah.
honestly, I find a lot of joy out of a lot of the work I do. It's
Just not the hard part.
no answering the phone calls. The easiest
paycheck
part, me
part?
swiping
Like
my
it.
thumb is my least favorite part. When I have to answer a phone call, I'm like, it can go one of two ways real fast. But I was surprised to hear their answer. They're like, I don't think you guys understand that like big city folk spend a lot of time doing leisure, tons of it. We may be hustling and bustling, walking
leisure?
around a lot, but exactly.
made up.
That was a suit.
You
wasn't
prove
it?
their point to
Yeah, that was
what's
made up.
leisure.
Leisure
Do
suits.
they have
I
leisure
heard
suits?
They did have leisure suits.
There was
Yeah.
a video game back when I was a kid called Leisure Suit Larry that I was not allowed to play.
Leisure
Mine was
suits.
Earthworm Jim.
That sounds like a guy in your neighborhood you should stay the hell away from.
That's what that video game was about.
Yeah, that's right. That's exactly what it's about.
Did he have candy?
I never played it. I don't know. That's Rob.
It's let's not go there.
That's a real game
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
on
It was
the,
in the 90s.
Atari 5000. Or?
No, it was on PC.
Yeah, early PC.
Yeah.
Did he ride a big fat tired bike around the neighborhood?
No.
like Windows 89, like before.
No,
Windows
it was
98.
Windows 95.
Yeah.
Right around there.
Okay,
It was
Yeah.
like, you know, like they had like the cartoon basey looking.
Yeah,
games.
it wasn't
Yeah.
like graphics were horrible, obviously.
Yeah. But it's not good.
No, it
wasn't allowed to play it.
The premise and everything was not good.
Yeah. So if you're a youngin listening to the show, do not go YouTube
not
Leisure Suit Larry. Yeah. So all right, Rob, what you been up to, man?
Playing some Leisure Suit Larry and no,
If you're playing Leisure Suit Larry, you probably are Leisure Suit.
I mean, he wears a leisure suit when he's doing his work.
kind of a tongue twister.
Leisure
Suit Larry.
I sound like Nancy Pelosi when I say leisure suit Larry.
Oh man,
Yeah, her speech has become worse.
I
She's 105
at the best.
at the best.
at the best.
Yeah.
talking about her-
She
talking about her
drinks
heart rate?
vodka and eats ice cream. That's her entire diet. What do
She
you expect?
outlived
True.
the queen. That's pretty impressive. That's all I got.
Nancy needs to listen to this podcast.
She probably does.
No,
We're all on a watch list.
we will be under SWAT surveillance immediately.
This would be the
Yeah.
last episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Rob, what you been up to other than playing video games?
Yeah, classic video game.
Classic.
No, not a whole lot. What's going on? Just a lot of work and stuff. We lost a chicken.
Another one?
Oh no.
Yeah, but not like this one actually literally just died.
So it's not. Did you ever find out what was causing your earlier loss?
The other ones, no, they
raccoons.
were all kind of random. It could it could have been a raccoon, it could have been a fox. So we did see a fox in the yard, like was stalking them, and then we caught that, and then we lost a chicken after we
So
saw
what you're
that.
saying is Samuel has not yet told you that I gave him a secret BB gun that he's shooting your birds with?
I gave him a BB gun for Christmas. So, but he doesn't. No, he doesn't get to shoot it. unless
Do you
I'm
guys
out
have
there.
is your pond stocked?
We just got it stocked. That's a good.
Did you
that's
really?
good.
What'd
Yeah.
you stock it with?
Some bass and some bluegill.
Oh, okay.
So
Not mermaids.
Awesome.
what's that?
No mermaids.
No mermaids yet.
So you got like a 3-year wait before they become like catch
Well,
ready.
he said actually next year they'll be
Catch ready.
pretty good size.
So you
At least-
feed
just
The bluegill.
the bluegill and the bass will
Do you feed
pretty
them?
big fast. No, just there's plenty of stuff there.
Dude, their pond is like
Vastly
right,
But it's super
for
low.
ecosystem.
Super low.
I didn't know
fish.
you, like I've only been to your house once, and it was in the dark, so I didn't even know you
You
had.
didn't go out back. Oh, you didn't go out back. It's right.
Their pond is
literally
sick.
right out back.
That was back in the COVID prayer nights.
Yeah,
That's when I was at your
Yeah.
house. Yeah.
Their pond is sick.
So
yeah. It's really low right now.
Is
really
it still got
why? Because it
the,
hasn't rained in 9
lily
months.
algae?
Oh, and then it rained last night. I was like, poor. And then I woke up
What'd you get for rain last night?
hardly. I decent, but
2000s.
just enough to make the
2000s?
ground wet.
Yeah.
That's
It
all you
didn't
guys
even,
got?
like not even mud in the yard.
Yeah.
So,
I was
but like just
sweating bullets.
Did you see the line? Like when I watched the radar this morning, I'm like, Where's the rain? And literally the radar was right next to our house.
Right next to it.
And it's just soaking Lincoln and stuff. And I'm
Yeah.
like, come on.
Yeah. Apparently, the storm that came through here, it raised the Mississippi 3 feet today,
Wow.
which it needed because the barges can't
Yeah.
move. But
Yeah, they were really low.
Wow.
Well, good. At least somebody got it. I
Yeah.
didn't get it.
Yeah,
That came out of Kansas.
We got a decent
They did.
rain in
They got
Seward.
a lot of-
I don't know. We had 2500s or 2000s here, 25 at the farm.
When I get to your guys' age of like outrageously old, I will have a rain meter out in my fence. So I
I've
can
had
measure
three.
that.
I don't
and they've
have one.
All been broken.
We can't leave out in the wintertime. They freeze.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or the kids play with it and they break.
Yeah. Or
All three of ours.
or you're like, hey, I bet I can hit that rain gauge with the BB gun.
Yeah, that's kind of what happened.
Or yeah, the slingshot.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you lost another chicken.
We did. Yeah. We just, wife like looked in the chicken coop and it was just dead.
So then your return on investment is looking a little more grim every
Got
day.
4 chickens. But what's funny is these 4 chickens are producing basically 4 eggs a day.
Really?
Like
How was
putting
that
out.
chicken doing that
That's
died?
like half of my record.
The what?
How's the chicken doing that died?
Well, we think so. There's, I guess we just looked up like how why chickens just die randomly, and I guess there is something that can happen where they get backed up producing eggs and they don't produce, and it ends up killing them.
Really?
Sad.
SIDS? SADS?
I thought maybe
That's
Sudden egg
yeah.
death.
I thought maybe there was some like prison justice in the
Yeah, I
hen
don't know,
house. Like,
something.
you're not carrying your weight.
There literally is. It's called the pecking order.
They red corded that's.
That's crazy. Anyway, so
Okay.
that's
Sorry,
about
Rob, I
it.
didn't mean to cut you off so much.
No, you're right.
Your lake is sweet, by the way.
I don't have a lake.
I wouldn't call it a lake. It's
It's a pond. It's a pond.
turning into a puddle.
Technically, 5 acres of
Pond
water
big for
is
you.
a lake.
Yeah, pond big.
Technically.
Not 5 acres.
No, yours isn't. Yours isn't.
Pond's good for you.
But it's
I got a pool and a pond. Pond big for you.
Yep. So yeah, me, nothing much. Just been still working a bunch. Still figuring out some tumultuous times. But other than that, Call of Duty, which has been good. Getting ready for the holidays, man. I'm really excited. We've got I got my in-laws coming in for Thanksgiving. Haven't seen them for a while.
Cool.
So it's actually not my parent-in-laws, but it'll be Liz's sister and her brother-in-law and their kids. So they're coming in from Colorado, which has kind of been a Thanksgiving tradition since we moved here, it's a lot of fun. So I'm looking forward to that.
What part of Colorado are they from?
They live in, well, they're not from, but they live in Aurora.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so he's a software dev guy. But they're from Georgia, where Liz is from.
Yep.
So, but yeah, so that's coming up. It's coming good. Honestly, we're thinking about putting out Christmas decorations like this week. Like we're going to
Why not?
crush it. You
My
know?
wife just said that day. She's like, "This might be the first year I haven't put out Christmas decorations the first week in November."
Normally we do it after Thanksgiving, but this year we're like, I don't know. Like I'm just ready for the change, I guess.
Yeah,
You're ready for
Celebrate
moisture in the air?
The birth of our Savior.
Yeah.
I want snow.
I'm not going to lie to you.
Hey,
Estes was like a winter wonderland when we went there. There was like the perfect amount of snow on the sidewalks and on the roofs and on the streets. So if you want to go find that, it's just a 7-hour drive.
well, since Dylan already
go.
opened the bottle, we're going to be tasting tonight. Like, let's go ahead and.
No, I did.
Yeah, we heard
didn't.
it, pal. All right. Go ahead, Ben. You can read it. What are we having tonight?
All right. Well, we have a Old Tub bottled in bond Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey. This is distilled and bottled by James B. Beam,
Himself?
Claremont,
Yep.
Kentucky.
So then were they both Beam? Yeah, they're both last name was Beams. Last week's was Beam as well.
Right. Yeah.
Not
Yellowstone.
bad.
Yeah.
So the Old Tub is kind of cool because it's a bottle and bond.
Tell us the story.
So Old Tub was originally the distillery bottle, right? So you had to go to the distillery to pick it up. And then what happened is this little thing in 2020 called COVID.
The lies.
How's it pronounced?
The lie.
The lies. Yeah.
The great lie.
The great lie.
The Covidians.
The COVIDians.
The branch Covidian.
What was it? A COVID stand?
Bean
right?
Covidians.
Covestan.
So the COVID stand lockdowns, and so because no one's going to the distillery, they like crap. We gotta get rid of this stuff. So they started releasing it, and they started and made it available in stores, and people were like, "Wow, this is good." And so now it's kind of become like an allocated. It's not really allocated, but it's just harder to find. So the price has really skyrocketed. So we're gonna see if it's worth the hype, I guess, by tasting it. So this bottle is kind of, I guess, a duo. What do you call it? Sponsorship.
So who sponsored it?
So Ben and I did, and what I mean by that is, my birthday a couple weeks back.
Aw.
Ben Lewis gave me this bottle for my birthday, and I thought I would share it with you guys on the podcast.
Well, that's pretty decent of you.
Yep.
Thanks, Aaron and Ben.
So
There we go.
And,
you go.
I found it online for you for $200.
yeah, I'm sure you did. I'm sure you did. Yeah. I'll make sure I
You're
reciprocate
worth every
birthday.
penny, Aaron.
Yep. So
You did give me a steal on a pistol, by the way.
Yeah.
I looked it up.
Hey, people are
Attaboy.
listening. Don't tell them.
I lost it in a
Just
boat
like
accident.
one of my
the next
favorite
week,
one of my
and
favorite YouTubers. He always says anytime he talks about his guns on YouTube, he's like, "And I lost them all in a bad fishing boat accident."
Oh, yeah.
Is it Cologne Noir?
No,
Oh, okay.
Oh.
he's like he knows the other guys though.
Okay.
Grand Thumb is my new favorite channel.
Oh, yeah.
Warrior
channel.
Poet
Grand.
Society is.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
pretty
Oh,
good.
oh, yeah, that's a
Jim
great
Lovell.
one.
Yeah,
Yep.
John Lovell
Yep.
is awesome.
But Grand Thumb is so funny.
He's
You guys
funny
are-
too. He's hilarious.
Yeah, he's great.
My favorite line every time he starts is when he'll say like, "The often forgotten, but not from me," and then he'll say the most random thing like, "Every C-130 ever made." And it's
Yeah.
like,
So have you ever watched? So we're gonna, a little side tangent here, but so speaking of Grantham, so like one of my favorite things there was like the last World War II Call of Duty. When you're reloading, if you just kept hitting the button real fast, like because you're trying to reload real quick, it would jam your thumb,
oh really? Really?
get
It would
Grand
give you the
Thumb?
Garen Thumb.
and then he'd pull it out and shake it, so it actually slowed you down.
Oh, that's
as opposed to once. So that's funny. And then speaking of, we talked about like the completely random stuff. One of my favorite bourbon reviewers on YouTube is ADHD Whiskey.
He's great.
He's hilarious, but he always says like,
80.
keep your mind in the clouds and your thoughts on, and he'll say like the most random stuff, like
Oh, funny.
pickles and jean jackets or something. It's hilarious, but he's hilarious.
Another funny Grand Thumb line is, that's all I got for
cheap.
you. One more thing today.
Yeah.
Every video. Like
Talk is
that
cheap.
never gets old.
Ammo's expensive. Let's go.
Flannel Daddy.
All right, guys, what are you guys smelling on this?
Yeah.
Very complex.
Baking spices.
Baking spices, yes.
I smell the corn on it.
I don't smell the corn at all.
I smell corn, a little bit of vanilla, and I get the baking spice.
lot
I
of
can
cinnamon.
really smell the burnt oak in here.
Do you guys get
Deep in it.
like the earthiness?
Yeah.
I've got COVID, so
Do you?
I don't smell much.
But I get so I get like you said the vanilla. I think there's a very strong earthy,
Yep.
like earthy presence, which is a good thing. I like that.
Scotchy,
but
peaty.
I can smell the corn on it though.
Yeah.
It doesn't smell harsh. I mean, it's
Not
like
at
a
all.
bright smell, but
It does clear your sinuses slightly. It's not Old Forester 1920, where it's like a smelling salt right to your nose.
Yep. And again, this is bottled and bond, so it's 100 proof, which is 50% alcohol for the Iowa Indians,
that's right.
and it's aged at least 4 years.
It's good.
So on the palate, what you getting, Rob?
I'm getting like some mixed berry. Really like almost a raspberry, blueberry-ish mix.
I'm not gonna lie, the bottle look was underwhelming. The taste is incredible.
So to me, it's buttery.
Yes.
And Rob, I kind of understand with like the raspberry, but to me, it's almost a little more like I get a little bit of licorice with it too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you get a
I would-
pecan taste
see
to
that.
it?
And then
When you say buttery, do you get a pecan taste to it?
no, I just to me it's just buttery. I get some licorice. I get a little clove.
Definitely get the clove.
A little bit. Yeah, right up front. Clove.
Yep. What do you think, Lewis? Before we move to the finish here.
I mean, I'm in my second or third drink here, so
What?
I'm already into.
What do you mean?
He's just enjoying
The
it.
best part.
I opened it prematurely. I'm sorry. What do you mean?
I love it.
You pounded that.
I was just
vinegar.
reading the bottle for a second, and I noticed that it's been carbon or chill filtered, only quality screen to remove the bits of barrel wood.
I'm not gonna lie. This is
You can tell it's
incredible
a gin.
flavor.
You can you know what it tastes like I can sense, if you will, or the Jim Beam.
Yeah.
it tastes like a Jim Beam, but with way more.
So to me,
it.
like, have you ever had Jim Beam Black?
Yes.
So like for when I was younger,
That had a lot of licorice.
Right. To me, this is like the Bottle and Bond Jim Beam Black.
So when you guys say Jim Beam Black has a lot of licorice, are you saying it tastes a lot like Jaeger?
No.
No, not like that.
Because that's like pure black licorice.
No, that's way.
Yeah.
That's like purposely tasted like licorice.
That, well, it is
Well,
licorice.
I mean,
It is licorice.
I'm just.
But I get elements.
There's an
of it.
element of licorice in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so on the finish, to me, I get the oak.
Yeah.
Comes out strong. I get the honey.
Yep.
I get the. It's a drier oak, and then I get the graininess. To me, that graininess, that earthiness, is that I was having on the nose, comes out in the finish.
My tongue dries out really fast.
Yep.
But the flavor stays. Like
It does.
I know we're not supposed to compare to last week, but like last week was like a light linger, a very subtle linger. This is like a right there to the point.
Yep.
So last week's would have been like a homemade Coke versus this is that manufactured. I'm gonna get that sweetness straight down your throat kind of Coke.
And I get to me the finish is a medium to long. I mean it's
And when I mean Coke, I mean
Yeah, it
hot.
hangs around. It doesn't heat up like last week we were talking about Yellowstone, right?
Yeah.
That kind of heated up at the end. This is sort of just mellow and stays.
But it's
like
there
it.
the full time. Like
It's
nothing
there, yeah.
degrades or it's there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
coats the entire tongue nicely.
and it coats the glass pretty darn nice too.
Yeah. So this is 100 proof. So that means, Lewis, this could be a slush. Would you slush it or would you drink it neat?
Oh, both, man. I think it would make a delicious slush, but I definitely. I mean, I'm drinking it neat right now, so
It's good either way.
I'm loving it. Yeah,
I think neat is the way to go with this.
it gets better. Like more sips.
Yeah.
It does.
We always say third sip.
That first one's hot, but
Yep. Yeah. First one's a little.
Like a hot tamale. Kind of when you take your first hot tamale.
but
All right, Dylan.
Hey, that's pretty good.
What's the score on this?
Y'all are probably going to think I'm crazy.
Normally do.
I know. I'm going to go with I'm going to split it. I'm going to say 79.
Oh.
It's a great drink. Like I was very surprised at how good this tasted. Cuz honestly, I didn't know what to think. I was like, okay, Old Tub, that's a weird title. The bottle's underwhelming looking. Like there's not a real pizzazz to it. It's a little darker than last week. It's a lot more red, but the actual flavor profile of it is intense. Like, but intense in a good way. Like if you enjoy a bourbon, you talked about last week where you could drink it over and over and over again. This is the same thing, but way more stout.
maybe Beam like spent the money on the bourbon instead of the
Wow.
presentation.
There you go.
Fair enough.
So the advertisement.
Yeah. No, I mean, Derringer did a really good job on the advertisement.
Not
Not a good job.
Not on the execution. That's for sure.
All right. So I'll throw out my score real quick. Then we'll go to Rob. Then we'll go to Ben. So my score on this, I really like it. I think it holds up in a lot of ways. It's complex. I wouldn't call it overly complex, but it's complex. I'm gonna be a 67.
Oh, say low 70s. Don't make me feel that bad.
I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. You literally stole the number in my head. So
All right. So Rob.
same number.
67 again.
Yep.
Wait, you too?
No, I'm
Yeah.
just saying the
Yeah.
67 again.
Rob and I both have
If I
67.
remember right,
that
you
was
two
literally
like
the
had
number
the
I had in
same
my
score
mind.
last time too.
We did.
There's a hive
Are
mind
you, are
going
you
on
like
between
mellowing
you two.
and then he's like coming up to your proof or what?
No.
It is a very
really
delicious
good.
drink.
I like it.
It's borderline dangerous how
Lewis,
good
what
that
are you?
bottle is.
Dylan, I'm with you. This one's in the 70s for me. It's
Thank you, Ben.
I'm gonna say 71, which is probably one of the greatest years ever.
Yeah, I totally know that.
Yeah.
71.
71.
19 years before my time. Best years of my life.
All right. Well,
Those were the best days.
good job, Lewis. Good job.
No, thanks for having a birthday, man.
Very good.
Yeah. And so, hey,
Yeah,
guys, if you'd
congrats
like
on
to
turning 40.
Yeah, thank you. If you'd like to reach out to the podcast, you can do it a lot of ways. You can reach us at manhood.neat@gmail.com.
Info@manhoodneat.com.
You can follow us on Twitters and the Instagram at manhoodneat. If you want to like to support us, you could just rate and review on the Apple Podcast, share on your favorite social media platform. In person, tell somebody about it. I don't know. And if you'd like to sponsor a bottle, again, just hit one of those 2 emails, and we'd greatly appreciate it. We thank all of the listeners, all 70 guys or whatever, for listening. And so we're going to continue on in our discussion that for the next few episodes here. We started last week with work, but basically talking about what does it mean to be beyond reproach. And so we defined being beyond reproach as basically being kind of like integrity, right?
Yeah.
So whereas nothing in your life can be used to be held against you. That does not mean you're perfect, but that means when you make faults, you fess it to them, you own up to them, so they can't be held against you. Okay. So obviously, like, it seems really, really simple. Like, how's this apply in family and marriage? Well, you just don't do anything you're not supposed to, right? And if you do, admit to it. But like, what are certain? Like, how's it going to show itself?
Oh man.
No, you drink. That's my birthday drink. No more.
Oh,
Ben handed it over with like such gravitas. I was like, thanks, Ben.
Yeah, I'm letting you guys try it. Not letting you drink the whole bottle.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Not what my Maker's 40 said.
Oh, he went there.
46.
You know, I admitted my mistake.
Were you above reproach on that?
Yeah.
You were above reproach on that.
Yeah. And you're just, the fact that you're just lording it over me to this day, I think is now a you thing.
It is a me thing. It is 100% a me thing.
Sometimes your master's just kind of being a dick. You know?
I can be a little vindictive sometimes.
But, all right. In marriage and family.
In marriage.
boy.
Congratulations on that bottle, by the way. That was delicious.
It is.
Which one?
The Old Tub.
Oh, yeah, it is good.
I'm going back to Grand Central in York.
Yeah, you buy the whole place out
I'm buying them all.
and let me know, and I'll get you I'll get you for a bottle.
All right.
Or 3. All right, so
Deal. Barrel.
So, let's break down. It's got family and marriage. So let's break it down into the 2 sides, right? One side being the marriage side, the other side being the family side.
Okay.
Where do you want to start?
We need to start on
Let's start with marriage because that's where it all starts.
Okay, yeah, it's
the words right out of my mouth.
Well, yeah. All right. So in marriage, being beyond reproach.
I'm a faithful husband.
Okay.
Now, just going to throw this out there. Does being beyond reproach when it comes to marriage mean admitting you're wrong even though you don't believe it? Not saying that not saying that that's how I am with my wife.
Think your wife's listening to this, or
No, she's definitely not. I know that for a fact. But I'm just saying, more times than not, I've heard the old joke, like, even if you're wrong, or even if you're right, say you're wrong when it comes to marriage.
Don't post this before Dylan gets home because he's gonna be locked out.
He's be like that
Yeah, I got to sleep on Ben's couch
again.
after this
You're always welcome.
for the 5th time.
So no, because like lying, if you think it's not a integrity, is not a thing of integrity. So being beyond reproach, I think first of all, when you look at it, it's when we look at these verses talking about being that, it's not it's from people outside looking in, right?
Okay.
Yeah, what could they hold
that's fair.
against you? So if we're looking at it from like what we talked about last week, what could somebody hold against you? Are you forthright in those areas beforehand so that somebody can't come along and accuse you and
True.
hold it against you? And even within your marriage, right? Your wife can't come forth and hold it against you and use it against you. Are we forthright in what it is? This is a tough one because
It is tough.
it's tough because it's hard, and I
Right.
do a poor job at it.
I would say I do a piss poor job.
Especially just around the
But, I mean,
communication
like-
area, everything. So,
The one thing I will say I do is I communicate everything I do with my wife. It's full transparency.
go to the bathroom.
Like literally. Like,
Number two.
I come home.
It's gonna be a while.
I come home a little early from work, and she's all excited to see me. I'm like, I
love your chili,
just
though.
here to go to the bathroom, and I'll be back out.
In an hour.
But it depends on what the news was for the day.
I love your chili.
And she jokes too. She'll say that 90% of my phone calls happen on the porcelain throne, but that's not true.
So she'd never make a phone call on your phone then, probably.
Not then, no. But 'cause she know I'd just be like, what? But no, to me, honestly, I think the marriage one might be the hardest one because in the culture we live in today, we put so much emphasis on our kids, and we put so much emphasis on making sure we're raising them right, that we don't take enough time to evaluate, are we treating our wives right? Because at the end of the day, I don't care what anybody says. The most important person in your life, and I have to remind my wife this on a daily basis, when I say I love you the most, I mean I love you the most. I don't love the kids the most. I love you're number one in my life. Not the kids. Like, we made the kids together, but I made that ceremonial sacrifice to you till death do us part. Our kids are a byproduct of that. And I have to constantly remind myself that she's the reason I am where I am today. And whether I want to say she was a pain in my butt for some of it or not, it's like I wouldn't be as good of a man as I was today if it wasn't for her. And when it comes to being above reproach with them, that's why I brought up the whole, like, even when you feel like you're right, do you say you're wrong kind of thing? Because to me, there's a fine line on being right and being stubborn. And saying, like, as a leader of the house, saying, no, this is the way we're going to do it. Rather than listening to her side and saying, maybe you got a point. Because sometimes I can fall down that rabbit hole of, no, I'm the leader of this house. This is how we're going to do it. And if she's like, there's an alternative to that, sometimes I can say, no, you're wrong. There's not the alternative to that, because I've seen that alternative go down the wrong path. So this one is probably the hardest for me, honestly, being above reproach. When it comes to my kids darn near think I'm Jesus. It's because they're young enough. They're young enough to where it's like anything I do is just grace, mercy, and love for them. And that's where I think I fall short with my wife, because sometimes I tend to give my kids that love and leeway that I need to give to my wife. Yeah. And maybe this is a young man talking.
No, you're probably right. I'm sitting here thinking too, like, if you're above reproach in your marriage, you're probably given a lot of grace, because you've been given a lot of grace, not only by Jesus but also by
your wife.
Yeah. And so I see where you're coming from there. Yeah.
Because I sometimes, and this is the pride in me, I hate to admit it, but in my eyes, the most important person in a household is the wife. And some people may not see it that way. I don't really care. The way I look at it is, if I die tomorrow, my wife, don't matter how attractive she is, she's a beautiful woman. She could find someone who could replace my income. If she dies, I lose the person that makes my household happen, and eventually lose my income, which is what I provide to that family.
You provide more than that.
I do, but what I'm talking on.
If you want to be beyond reproach, you should be providing more than that.
Yeah, but honey, I'm just here to. I've done my part. Here's the check. I'm going with the boys.
But on a bare minimum income, like, typically the guy is a breadwinner, and typically the guy is out working. The guy's spending hours away from the house, and the wife is building that home. And if my wife were to die tomorrow, that means that I have to stop producing my income for that family so I could start becoming that home provider for my kids. And that is a terrifying thought in my eyes. Not because I don't know how to raise my kids, but because she's better at it. She's just that much better at it than I am. Like, I'll come home, and if something's not right, I'm like, hey, this needs to get fixed. But she already knows the ins and outs of this whole situation. She knows how my beautiful little Evelyn likes to work. She spends 8 hours a day working with this girl before I ever come home. She knows her gimmicks, what it's going to take to get her to listen, where I don't. Not on the level that she does. And so I think when it comes to marriage, I think that's where when it comes to work, marriage, and kids, marriage is probably where I fall the most short on being above reproach, because there is a lot of better men out there who provide better examples of what it means to be a better husband to their wives than I do.
So, but looking at that, what is it that people are looking at that they could pull back on us. You know, to be able to approach us. It's, again, we're not talking about being perfect but it's with avoiding things that people could use against us, and ultimately, it's talking about in a way to discredit our faith, right, or discredit the gospel.
Okay, but you say people, but when it comes to our marriage, it's our wives.
No. It's people looking in too.
Yeah.
It's your neighbors. It's your friends. It's your customers. It's business associates.
Like we have to have appropriate relationships with other women.
Yeah.
You know, like I mean, there's one wife, right? And like, but I'm not gonna be close to Liz like I'm close to my wife,
Yeah.
or I'm not gonna be, or Tara or Mariana. I mean,
Or honestly, you shouldn't be like as close as we are.
true.
Yeah.
True. Like, yeah, that's your.
So do you think we should be closer as men together than we are wives?
No, I'm saying we should be closer as men than I like. Ben and I should be a lot better friends than Lee and I are.
Okay, that's fair.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I thought you were saying like Ben and you should be better friends than you and Liz are.
No.
And I was like, whoa, I think we have this totally mixed up. I think you and I are completely different wavelengths.
No.
And maybe just upholding our vows as married people. I mean, my goodness, we've made a contract there, right? And we've promised to have Jesus at the middle of it, and we don't share that with anyone else. We don't share that intimacy in any way, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, no other way other than our wives.
Yeah, my mind goes to why is it hard for us to have why is it hard? Why is our relationship with Christ hard? Right? Because we're self-centered, right? And we're selfish, insane people trying to satisfy other selfish, insane people, right? And so our relationship with Christ is hard because we're always thinking about ourselves, right? What's our best interest, and it's hard to get outside of that and think about Him. And the marriage is supposed to be a representation of a lot of that, right? Where we're supposed to love our wives as Christ loved the church, right? Which is He gave Himself up for her, right? He sacrificed it all. He said, I am not important. Only they are important. And we're supposed to do that. And I fall short within 5 minutes of waking up. Very, to that. And so the above reproach part to me is the work, is, if you want to call it the work of it, right? The working of the whole dying to ourselves, what we want, what I want, and only trying to focus that back on her, and what's her needs today. What does she need today from me? What is whatever? And you touched on something with your wife being, how the kids respond to her and how she runs the home and everything. And that can be a beautiful thing if we look at it from the aspect of, because we are one, you can walk into the home knowing it's well taken care of, and your kids are well taken care of, and they love the Lord, and they're following after His heart, and you get to step into that as the husband and man, right? We get to come home or step into that knowing our wives took care of that for us as one, right? And now we can walk into it as we're a one. And we together, through what I do on a daily basis, what she does comes together, versus me looking at it like, well, she gets to spend all the time with the kids. That's why they like her more, or you know what I mean? Like your kids run to your mom, and when they're young, like right now, we go through that. The kids are young. When they're hurt, when things are happening, they ask for mom.
Sure.
Does that feel like crap sometimes as a dad? Absolutely. But now if I look at it just after the discussion here, just thinking it from the aspect of, well, if we're one, then they're really running to both of us, right? If that's truly how we're looking at this and treating it.
Right.
So
it's hard not to take that pride and say
exactly.
They're running to the most comfortable.
You're running, right? And it's the selfishness in us, right? Where we're like, totally I want some of that.
Like when my son, when Clarkson, he gets excited to see me when I get home. He's got this big smile on his face. He crawls right over to me. I hold him. It's fun and dandy for about 20 seconds, and then it's immediately arms out to mommy.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, you evil, wicked person. That's my boy. Don't take that from me.
Yeah.
But she's with him all hours of the day. She is loving this kid to the fullest.
Yeah.
And all this kid sees me for is maybe 4 hours a day. To be quite honest, maybe 4 hours, especially during this time.
Well, wake him up at night. Hang out all night.
He
Get
wakes
24 hours in a day.
He woke me up at 4:30 in the morning by pulling on my mustache. It's not quite as beautiful as Lewis's, but it's getting there. And I brushed him off. I was like, leave me alone. It's 4 in the morning. Literally woke up, looked at my clock. I was like, dude, it's way too early to get up. Where mom said, no, get over here. Let me cuddle you. Let me love you. Let me hug you. And it's just a magical thing that women have.
Sure.
That like I admire. I truly admire because I love my kids so much.
Are you talking about patience?
But that's like
patience,
That's a
but, like,
huge part of that.
patience, but like the natural nurturing that
Oh,
they have, like just the natural innate nurturing ability that the women have,
100%.
where it's
almost like God designed that men and women together need to raise children.
I was just gonna say that, like, as
kind of
it's a
weird.
it's like
thing.
as four guys
supposed
that
to
like
be.
understand our roles as men in the household. Like, you know, as much as we want to get angry about our kids being excited to see mom, you know, all the time, and maybe excited to see us for just a couple of seconds, you know, there's also that role of, you know, what your wife probably wouldn't be ticked if the
my
kids.
wife could care less if my kids want to spend
Well,
5 hours. with
I'm
me.
just saying,
She'd
like,
be like,
if-
great, thank you.
if your wife wouldn't be mad, like if your kid comes to you someday and says, I really need some dad advice on this thing, you know, like I got a bully at school, or
I think she would
I need
pray
to
that
be
it happens.
protected right now.
Yeah.
But, or think about it this way though, like is how much does your wife like it when you have to be the heavy and not them?
Oh,
It
that's
depends.
I mean, I got kids of all ages. You know that. I'm old, but like that only gets worse, dude. Like,
I am the heavy.
Oh yeah, me too.
When I come home, it's usually either dress or like the real discipline action.
I thought you were gonna say I am the heavy. Like
Well,
we're not talking about weight here.
I ain't talking about my movie.
I just sit on my kids and make them submit.
We're not. This is an old tub, you know.
This isn't the size of a tub.
that's my new nickname. Old Tub.
You are 40 now.
That's right.
But you know, to go back to the
I'm young tub.
above reproach part, and to try and get back to that, what our discussion's about.
Thank God Rob's taking us.
Yeah, you know, somebody's got to bring us back.
A wise man's got to bring us
Somebody's got to
back.
bring us back. Is so. What does that mean in marriage then? Right. The where I see it fitting in is if we are one, like we're getting back to, right? Like there's we all have different roles, and we respect that and we understand that, and we come to that agreement, and we're not jealous when the kids are running to mom, or we're not upset, right? Because I have to be the heavy and she doesn't want to be, because that's our roles. That's how we've defined, you know, we've come together as one and said that's what it is. But
So
the
bad cop doesn't work.
yeah, but the above reproach part is understanding that and always coming back to it and saying, I understand I'm one with you, and my selfishness in this area got in the way, and now I need to apologize to you for that. And, you know, coming back to that oneness again, and always focusing it back on the oneness, and whatever tries to separate that, that's what we need to attack and say, no, not today, Satan. and go back to come back to the oneness and just focus on that and in that.
So yeah, I think the beyond reproach when you look at it in the family setting, so that's include the marriage.
Oh, now we're getting the kids involved? Oh.
Well, it's involved
Just
everybody.
kidding.
Yeah, but is that one is Christ is the focus point, right? He always is.
Always.
And so, but then the beyond reproach is then that people looking in see this differences. One is, it's we're not self-serving. I mean, that goes back to our job we talked about last week.
Oh yeah.
In this, but we're looking to Christ. Our wife is within our home is our priority, right? So we got Christ, and then and then our children below that, and they see this order.
Yeah.
They see this, and they see a dedication to the keeping the family unit pure, and that in all aspects. And so I think that there's being beyond reproach as far as the way we parent, so that our kids can't, you know, have hatred towards us for that. And then our wives, our relationship with them is they can't look at it, but also just people on the outside looking in, and they say, well, okay, you know, like, well, he does this, you know, like he's always like there can be no question that I am faithful.
Yeah.
that I am that I'm loyal, that I'm protective, right? I mean that I lead in all these things as God would call me to do, and then the same thing with my kids. Like no one could ever question, the way I interact with my children.
And I look at what you just said right there. That whole like no one can question it as a byproduct of fixing the problems that like Rob and I were discussing earlier, where if you make your bed with your wife,
I leave before she's up.
You help her make the bed.
Figuratively.
My wife would love me to help her make the bed.
But that's right. There's that level of respect that like say when you come home and you have to be the heavy and you got to throw that kind of band hammer around, your wife automatically backs you up. Like I will say one of the most inspiring things that I've ever heard in my life actually comes from you, Aaron, where you talked about how
your life sucks.
It does. I'm not going to deny that a bit. But you talked about how
you need to listen to more podcasts.
Your dad put you up against the wall and said, "Don't you ever talk about my wife that way,
or speak to my wife that way."
And that really made me rethink my entire relationship with my wife and my kids, because I was like, I think I do put my kids before my wife a lot.
It's hard not to, man.
It's really hard not to. But like the way your dad handled that whole situation where he's like, you're not worth my time if my wife is not happy. It's like, that's the most important thing. And I had to think a lot about that. I was like, man, I'm dropping the ball here. And so I think like those little pieces that we get throughout this episode, it helps me grow as well as the young guy in the group. So I just want to say thank you for that. But I think after hearing that, it's helped me talk to my wife in a way where I'm like, hey, as much as you think I might be cruel to the kids, like if I give them a timeout that you think is unnecessary, we need to be a team on this. And we need to be united in this together. And the only reason why we need to be this way is because if they see us as a united front, there is a lot less discernment for that distraction, that whole like, well, mom says this and you say this. Who has the real authority here? And it's not the fact of the matter that like I might have more authority than my wife, because with all due respect, my wife has all the authority in the house. She's the homemaker. It's just at the end of the day, I have to be the heavy sometimes, and it sucks. I don't want to be that guy that comes in and is like watching my wife look exhausted because today was rough.
All right, where's the dog? Time to do some kicking.
Yes, right. Let's kick the dog.
But
get over here.
No, it's just that was one of the most eye-opening experiences I've ever had, was you talking about that and saying it in that exact light, because I ended up catching myself later saying like the same thing to one of my kids. I was like, don't you ever talk to my wife that way, because that's the most important person in my life.
Yeah, and I think it's good. I mean, and those are pretty. That's pretty extreme time when that kind of stuff kind of happens. But it is that they need to know that
like they're second. They're
right.
second,
and that's not. It's not bad, And like and I even look at it. And it's so much of our family dynamic is allegorical to the heavenly, right? Like Christ loves us
100%.
He loves us unconditionally,
but his devotion to
Yeah.
the Father's first.
We're second to the
Yeah.
Father.
Yeah, that's such a great segue, dude, because we talked about this a little bit last week, about being a great employee sometimes means honoring God first, and boom, you're going to be like employee of the month, right? Because, man, if you honor God, I mean, you're certainly honoring people on earth here, and I mean, again, we're called to do the same thing as like husbands, if we honor God, I mean, dang, we're going to treat our wife like we would die for her, right? And you talked a little bit about like, the idea of being beyond reproach is oftentimes, well, what are other people seeing, and is their marriage questionable, or could we call into question that guy's, real love for his wife? I mean, there's always somebody looking in, and sometimes the people looking in are your kids. And if they see
I think
dad,
they're the ones that are looking in the most.
oh yeah, and if they see dad honoring mom, I mean, nothing makes a kid feel better, right? Than like, hey, mom and dad are.
more
They got
united
dressed
front.
up and they're going out on a date tonight. They really love each other. I mean, I hate to see them kiss in the house, but man, that makes me feel good. Like my dad loves mom, and
kids
my mom
just
loves
started
dad.
saying that.
It's a lot better than what you heard growing up.
That's true. I mean, I've told that story too.
My kids just started being like, "Oh, gross! You guys stop."
But again, like you're laying such a foundation for your kids when you're doing that. Like your sons are going to be better husbands. Your wives or your daughters are going to be better wives, and they're going to seek men that treat them like dad's treated mom.
Yeah.
Like that's a big ass responsibility. That's a big responsibility. But
When I hear the word, the beyond approach thing, what came to mind was like, what if we were on trial, right? And our wife is right there with us, and could somebody bring something up about our marriage or something going on that all of a sudden would shock her, be like, or would shock people, or has it already been laid out in the open, like we've talked about, right? Like, I screwed up, I did this, right? And we've talked about it, it's already through. So they look at it like, yeah, I knew about that, whatever, or. Yeah, he is that way. I understand that. That's who he is.
Like if you ask
You know
Liz,
that?
like Aaron's jerk.
Yeah,
True.
and
What's new? What's new?
yeah, hit me with
That's why his Sunday school's the smallest.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
your Sunday school is always the hugest.
You're actually-
I can't even get a seat in
Your
there.
Sunday school is actually the biggest Sunday school.
Put him in the
I've gone to
conference
about
room.
4 or 5 during that time, and I'm like, man, Aaron's is packed to the gills. Yeah.
It's all old people.
But it's all
and-
people with good questions.
That's true.
though.
And you're just a farmer. I mean,
Just a farmer. That's
I
right.
mean,
Simple farmer.
Bring
what
that
you
back
just
up.
said though is spot on, Rob. Like, if we were to go to trial, what would my kids say about how me and my wife are together?
Yeah.
And what would my wife be shocked about? I mean, there's a couple in our church. We all know them, and we.
Oh, the do parts.
Yeah.
Yep.
The do parts. We may talk about them later, but like they gave their testimony like 2 Thanksgivings ago, about their whole situation, and the entire time I was thinking about it, I said, "Man, the stones on that guy to open up to his humbleness for what?"
Oh, that was last Thanksgiving.
No, it was the Thanksgiving before.
No, because 2 Thanksgiving ago was Liz and me.
No.
was it?
That was
Last
good.
Thanksgiving?
Yours was not last Thanksgiving.
No, we were 2 Thanksgivings ago.
No. It's somebody else.
we can't
And
name.
we'll talk about it later. Okay. But
Give me the initials.
Where did do hearts? No,
Spell out the last name.
Where
for
did
me.
do hearts last year?
Just kidding.
No.
The people you're talking about are the do hearts. I know who they are. Weren't they last year?
If the Dewharts own farm ground and we've had a talk about how they buy farm ground, then sure.
No, that was way more than 2 years.
Okay. Yeah,
No,
I
They
know,
were
I know you're
before.
talking
They were
about.
before Liz and I.
But the people who I'm talking about, they have a kid in my own group, my youth group.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. And
That was three ago.
oh, was it 3 years ago? Okay, sorry.
that long
3
ago?
ago.
Yeah.
Wow.
It doesn't feel like it, because to me it's like a constant reminder. Like someone fell off the wagon for a little while there, and
Mr. Duhart.
Mr. Dewhart fell off the wagon there for a little while, and Mrs.
Doe.
Dewhart forgave him, and he owned up to it. But the fact that he owned up to it in front of 500 plus people and said, "Yeah, I
dude.
dropped the ball,"
That takes some stones.
dude.
Take some Duharts.
The whole time I was like, this guy has brass Dewharts, and I couldn't handle it. I was like, this is crazy. This like
Oh yeah.
the pedestal that they had put him on for the kind of like anything that can go wrong will go wrong. I was like, good on you for owning up. Like that
Well,
is
that
a
makes you
man
beyond
above reproach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
Praise-
is
praise
that
God
is
for
an
that
honorable
witness.
man. And people did see it. People saw it. That's why it was brought up. And I'm so thankful every single day when I hear people like that, where it's like they were fallen people who made huge mistakes and could have thrown an entire life of what could have been greatness away. But instead, they brought it back. They said, this was on me, and I'm going to fix it. And they did it. So kudos to that guy. I don't know if you're listening. I don't know if you're not, but if you are, kudos to you.
Yeah, I don't know if the Dewharts listen to this or not. But no, yeah. So the being beyond reproach thing, like it is. Again, the biggest part is just fessing up to our shortcomings, and then
not just fessing up to it though, like taking the actions to change it.
Oh, right. And then, well, it's not true repentance if you're just like, I'm gonna keep doing it, you know.
But there's a lot of people that do. They're like, oh, like
Yeah, we also have to be careful about thinking we can do it, right? We have to invite Christ into
yeah, we can't do it on our own.
Hey,
100%.
I am not capable of doing this. I am weak. I am, just got to admit, I'm weak here.
So
I
need
tell
you.
myself every single day when I see my kids, I'm like, if it isn't for God, I wouldn't have the patience or the wherewithal to know how to handle my kids the way my wife does. Like my wife does it with such grace, with my daughter Evelyn. I love her to death. She's such an ornery little ball of fire, but she's the one who drives me the most nuts. And my wife will say, "You're the hardest on her."
She's fun,
hands down. She's so fun. Evelyn is so fun. But she knows how to push all the right buttons for me. And my wife knows exactly which buttons to press to stop that button from getting pushed. And I have to thank God every single day that there's a woman in my life that knows how to do that, because I'd kill that kid if my wife wasn't there. I would kill that kid.
But like you're saying, Rob, so yeah, we recognize that like Christ has got to invoke this change. But, and I think that we have to not just our actions, but we have to show our motivation as well to be above beyond reproach. And I guess I'll kind of finish up in this is like you can have two guys who, on appearance wise, are 100% faithful to their wives and their kids, right? But the one, his reasoning is if he got caught cheating, like people would think less of him and it might hurt his business. The other one says I wouldn't cheat because I love my wife and I want to hurt her.
Yeah.
So the appearance is the same. So like the beyond reproach to me in this instance, it goes above and beyond just surface level appearance. It's the motivation behind it.
Sure.
True.
You know?
Sure.
And so
Kind of like last week when we talked about, your boss doesn't see all the time, but God does.
right. And I almost wanted to say like the whole steward thing, but like we don't own our wives. But at the same time, I do believe that our families, as men, we're called to lead. We are given stewardship of them. God has gifted us not the possession of the people, but the privilege of looking out for
the
them.
relationship.
The relationship, yeah.
Yeah.
And so
So does God bestow us the trust to make sure our wives uphold that relationship throughout the house? So like, some of us here have stay-at-home moms
and wives.
Wives first.
Stay-at-home moms for wives. So what I'm saying is like he gives us the privilege of leading that household, which to me and my wife is a stay-at-home mother. That is a huge privilege.
Yeah.
That is a huge privilege, especially in this day and age in this economy. And like I said,
Thanks, Biden.
It's not just that.
17% inflation.
It's higher than that. It's a lot higher than that. But she knows how to run that house better than I ever could. Now, does God bestow us with the privilege of being able to run that house while she's there, or does He bestow us with the ability to trust that woman to run that house while we're gone? Is it both?
We are given the stewardship of leading our families.
I understand
And
that.
so it might be different.
But I'm gone for 10 hours a day.
So what I'm saying is it might be different.
Yeah.
How that works out is different from house to house.
Yeah. I just go back to the scripture of love your wife like Christ loved the church. That's He gave Himself up for her.
And is that a possible task?
With him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
With him.
Oh, with all things are possible.
That's what we go back to is can I do it? No. I personally cannot do it.
Well, that's what I'm asking.
I am weak,
Personally, I cannot do it.
but in my weakness, He is made
Perfect.
He is made perfect. He makes my weakness perfect. So if I lean on him and say, I can't do this, I know you can. You're going to have to do it. And let him do it.
I don't know. There's a pretty good track record of leaning on God.
Yep.
Like,
that was
right
the
now
point
about
I was trying to get
100%.
to by saying,
It seems too easy.
Yeah. That's the funny thing. It is.
All right.
but it's also the most
but then
difficult
at
thing
the
you
same
can do.
time,
Yeah,
But it's
because
not.
we're
Paul says, why do I do what I hate?
What I do,
Right?
exactly.
Why do I do what I hate?
Why do I do that?
And that's kind of where we're stuck.
I hate
And
do the things I hate.
Romans, man.
Yeah.
We're in that Bible study right now with Pastor Kurt.
Again?
I've been in that Bible
Nights.
study for like 5 years.
We take our time, dude.
actually,
We
so
peel
Kurt
the
takes his
onion.
time, but he does a good job.
a little tangent. They say if anybody out there who's changing churches, right? Not that we are, but anybody, because there's people out there who are listening who might be going through a church transition, either looking for a new church, they just moved, or their church that they're currently going to, they figured out is trash, and so they're going to go find a real church.
It's stagnating.
No,
Not that it's trash. It's
no,
stagnating.
No, a church is like
It could be.
okay, if you're going to a quote unquote church and you have a lesbian, transgender,
Oh, Methodist.
Unicorn.
Methodist.
Presbyterian, like pastor.
We love the Presbyterians too. Just
No,
so everybody knows.
I love the remnant of all denominations.
the remnant.
I love the remnant.
The remnant. The guilty remnant.
So,
Man.
but anyways, if you're looking for a new church and you're trying to figure out whether or not it's a Bible teaching church, because it's hard. I mean, you can go to like a few sermons. That's not enough, right? Go to their page, look at their, like every church now records their sermons, and find a sermon series on Romans. That is the one, like there's no way to water down Romans.
No.
There's no way. It's pretty in your face. And so
Blunt.
that to me is a very good plumb line for where a church lines up. It's a total tangent, but that's where we're going to close.
No, that's a great tangent because Romans 8 is probably one of the greatest chapters in the Bible, period. We can live victoriously because Christ saved.
Are you going to bring up the guy like, hey, God, the whole Bible?
I know
Good. Romans 8, phenomenal.
I know I'm the Sunday school answer.
Some of your best
But Romans
work.
8,
That's
a
right.
little more perfect.
Like you're doing pretty good in the Old Testament. When you got to Romans 8, you were like in your
was-
prime.
I mean, yeah,
That was the prime rib of
God
the Bible.
really,
Right
he really
there.
picked it up there.
yeah.
I know I'm the Sunday school answer guy, but
That's pretty-
Romans
sure
8
I
holds
was.
up.
holds up.
Holds up.
Yep.
Read it.
All right, Lewis, you get to close this because you're the Sunday school guy.
Oh my goodness.
There you go.
Dear Father in heaven, thank you so much for all the gifts that you give us. Thank you most of all for your Son, Jesus Christ, and the grace that he gives us. Please give us the strength to emulate him and give the grace that you give. Give us the strength to lead our homes. Give us the strength to love our wives like Jesus loved the church. I ask that in his name. Amen.
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 All right, guys, we just appreciate you guys listening, and we'll catch you next time on the Manhood Neat podcast. Dylan trying to drink all my birthday bourbon.